What's up, guys? Rideshare guy here, and today I've got a video for you about what happens if you get deactivated from Uber. So obviously you title, wow, that sounds big and scary, but is it that bad? Is it a bad thing? And the answer is it sort of depends. So the most common reason for being deactivated from Uber is for low rating. So obviously as a driver, you need to maintain a 4.6 rating or above to stay active on the platform, right? And 4.6 is, not the most impossible thing, but definitely there's drivers who struggle with it, and we have a lot of resources out there that can help you boost that rating if that's what you need. But let's say it's too late and you found this video now because you've been deactivated, or you're worried about getting deactivated for low ratings. And the thing that you need to keep in mind is that in most Uber cities, they actually offer reactivation training if you're deactivated for low ratings. So these are going to be courses, whether online or Skype or sometimes in person, one-on-one or group setting, lots of different kind of styles to choose from, and it depends really on the city that you're in. But a couple companies that offer them are R3Z Solutions, 7x7. And basically, these classes are through third-party providers that Uber will email you and say, hey, go take a class with this company and we'll consider letting you back on. Now, almost always they let you back on, but the price of these classes might range from 50 to $100. So it's not super cheap, kind of expensive, right? And if you get deactivated, more often than not, you'll be able to get back on, but you have to take one of these reactivation classes. You won't be able to get back on if you're deactivated for low ratings just by asking nicely. So Lyft actually doesn't offer anything like this. So this is kind of like a nice, I don't know, I would call it perk, but it's nice that, hey, if you are deactivated for low ratings, at least you have the chance to get back on the platform. So that's definitely a good thing. Now, if you're deactivated for another reason and you're wondering if you can get back activated or get back on the platform, it really depends on the reason. And I kind of look at it like a sliding scale from like good to bad or worst to worstest, right? Depending on whether you can get back. And what I mean by that is the most egregious reasons, right? The worst things like driving drunk, molesting passengers, etc. Obviously, these are things you guys shouldn't be doing. And if you do something like that, you're going to be deactivated from the platform, right? And you probably shouldn't be reactivated if you do anything like really egregious. So definitely, it's kind of a no-brainer, but keep that in mind. But if it's something really bad and you're deactivated for that, yeah, you can't get reactivated because, you did such a bad thing. But there are actually a lot of deactivations that kind of fall more in the gray area, and things like driving with another person in the car. I mean, this is a common one that actually a lot of new drivers, if you're an experienced driver, you're like, yeah, duh, obviously you shouldn't have someone in the car. But if you're a new driver, you might be worried about safety, or you might just think it's weird that you are picking these random people up. Or maybe your friend wants a ride across town and you're like, hey, I might as well give them a ride while I'm doing Uber. A lot of people don't realize that you can't have someone else in the car. And if you get reported, you'll actually immediately be deactivated. But the nice thing, I wouldn't say nice thing, but if it's an honest mistake, you can and should definitely email to Uber, explain your side of the story. More often than not, they'll let you back on, but obviously you want to be apologetic and say, hey, I didn't know this. And, I don't necessarily always blame drivers either for doing stuff like this because there isn't really a lot of training, and a lot of these policies, aren't published. Although Uber does have a published deactivation policy, but when I read it, it didn't have something like this, where if you drive around with another passenger, you could be deactivated for that, but that is a reason you could be deactivated. So some of it is kind of like learned by trial and error. And then, of course, you also have what I call misunderstandings, right? And misunderstanding type of deactivation would be something like a passenger reports you for driving under the influence or driving super erratically or unsafe or anything like that. And you might be thinking, like, why would a passenger do that if you're not actually doing that? But it does happen, right? And if you get, you might get sort of like temporarily deactivated for this, if a passenger reports you while Lyft investigates you. I mean, you can kind of imagine, like, if Lyft or Uber receive a report from a rider that you're driving drunk, like the first thing they're going to do is deactivate you and then look into the situation, because they don't want to have, let's say you go out and the night you were actually drunk, and then you go out and something horrible happens and Lyft or Uber had a report of it, that would make them look really bad. So I think, their policy kind of makes sense, but It does suck because if you get falsely accused, basically, you have to, email into Uber or Lyft and explain it, and it might take some time for them to resolve the issue, which is just another reason why it's always good. Like if you're driving for Uber, it's always good to have Lyft as a backup and kind of vice versa, just in case any of those type of situations happen, because I do get emails about that. I do get questions about it. It does happen to drivers. So definitely keep that in mind. The other thing that I want to talk about too, I would call them like temporary deactivation. So these would be things, honestly, we probably shouldn't call them deactivations, but it's things like not submitting your insurance documents or letting your insurance documents expire or just being inactive, right? If you don't drive for Uber for 2 or 3 months, they'll like temporarily deactivate you, and all you need to do is just send an email to get back on or upload your insurance documents to get back on. So it's not really a deactivation. It's kind of like putting your account on hold or on pause, because you still have an account, and literally, as soon as you email in or take care of whatever action you need to take care of, you'll be back on the platform. And if this does happen to you, just email support@uber.com. You can always go in-person office hours if you have that, or whatever other means you have available. And either way, like kind of what I really think it boils down to, if you are having like troubles with the deactivations, kind of like what I said, I think it always makes sense if to have Lyft as a backup, right? If you're out driving for Uber and you only do Uber, that's fine. Have Lyft as a backup, even if you never drive for them. Just keep your account active with them. Lyft doesn't even require you to do a ride every 2 or 3 months like Uber does. Just make sure your documents are up to date, right? Once every 6 months. Not a lot of not a lot you have to do. But then if something like this does happen, right? If you do get temporarily deactivated, with or without cause, you'll have that backup to fall on, basically, and you won't have to go days or even weeks sometimes without being able to make any money. What you really don't want to do is get deactivated for something stupid like, a drunk passenger says that you were drunk, right? And then it takes Uber a week to resolve that, and now you can't make money for a week. So that's definitely why you want to have a backup like Lyft. And if you're only driving for Lyft, vice versa applies too. You definitely want to have Uber as a backup. So I'll leave a link below if you guys are interested in signing up for Lyft, and you want to use my code, my link. You can definitely do that, and I'll be very appreciative. But other than that, if you do get deactivated permanently or anything like that, Lyft might be your only other option. And, there might be other delivery companies or just other rideshare companies in general that you can look into. So hopefully this video was helpful. And, I know deactivations can be a little bit stressful, but if you have any comments, definitely feel to reach out below. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and look forward to hearing from you guys soon. All right, take care.